1,508 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss, and then his corpse was disrespected and dismembered. Uh, the reports are parts were found in Juarez, Mexico, making this an international capital murder case. That's why Interpol was involved. That's why Mexican government was involved. That's why the Mexican military were involved. Of course, the Department of State there, ATF involved, CBP, also DHS, the FBI, and on and on and on and on. The sheriffs and the U.S. Marshals and 15 plus agencies and more. Even the worst type of billionaire drug dealers that get caught in their cases, you don't have this kind of agency response. Um, what Richard was reporting on as a whistleblower, the criminal trafficking was very, very serious, and it went over the borders. It was within Fort Bliss in El Paso and over the borders into Mexico, and so it's all very serious, and we've taken it very, very serious day in and day out. 1,509 days. And of course, just what is it, a week ago or a couple weeks ago, the report things start just kind of coming together because this case is moving so fast. It is moving so fast. Um, that they admitted that over 300,000 um, unaccompanied minors were unaccounted for, missing. And of course, the majority, hundreds of thousands, were on Fort Bliss in the emergency intake center that covered acres, acres. Oh my gosh, it was just huge money, huge taxpayers' money to create um, this hellhole for unaccompanied children that now are mostly dead. That's not my words. That is what has been reported, that these are unaccompanied minors, children, that are mostly dead. And that's just in this not even 3 years, right? I think it covers not even 3 years. So let's make sure that I'm on. In this not even 3 years, right? And of course, the trolls, they've said, well, that intake center, you're even admitting it that it was, after Richard was premeditatedly murdered for reporting criminal trafficking. Yes, the criminal trafficking and these child camps were happening before then, but upon uh, in 2021, beginning of 2021, I believe it was February 2021, they were emboldened. They were emboldened. Election just happened, and they were emboldened to put tons of money into making this huge, acres wide, acres long camp of these tents to house unaccompanied minors. Who's going to, here we are for Richard, 1,508 days. So much has happened. And what is happening right now is due to Team Find Richard Halliday rallying around Richard, loving him, not forgetting him, knowing that there are answers, and those answers are absolutely, the evidence is showing him to be that distinguished undergraduate hero for the children. and and it's showing that we need accountability. That our uh, agencies have rogue criminal groups that are creating havoc and killing our most valuable assets. You know, Richard was just 19, 20 when all this was going on. 19 and 20 years old, um, so young, and he was being retaliated against swiftly, severely, continuously. And so, you know, who is rallying for him? Well, his family, Team Farm Richard Halliday. Who is going to rally? Who's going to not forget these unaccompanied children? Hundreds of thousands of them. We don't even know their names. We don't know their names. We don't know exactly how old they are, where they were coming from. They have no one to scream out, to write all of the letters to all the agencies, to email letters, to the state bar complaints, and more, and to send out letters and to send out emails. Because, you know, some people, you can't send them emails, you have to send them letters, and then some you have to fax, and then some you have to email, and you have to gather the evidence through open records requests and through investigations and through talking to people. And one of the modes of talking and reaching out to people is this live stream. This live stream reaches out to people, it stays connected with El Paso. And, you know, we had moved there. We came back for Christmas. My dad got very, very sick. He was in El Paso rallying on the border, praying at the border. We have the videos. And, but when Christmas came and we came back from El Paso, he fell very, very ill. So we had to take care of him. You know, COVID was going on then, COVID, and we absolutely refused to have him in a hospital where they want to control your movements, and you know, and he was dying. And we did not want anyone to tell us that we couldn't hug on him and kiss on him and bring in the great grandchildren and bring in the entire family, bring in our entire church members, our priest, or you know, and give him uh, you know, the best send off into eternity that we could, and care for him and love for him during that whole time, and never leave him alone. Never leave him alone, you know. Um, the most difficult thing I've ever done, the most exhausting, um, and at the same time, rally for Richard, our son. His namesake, my dad's name, Richard. Richard was named after my dad, Richard. So you know, family is so important. That's why it gets attacked all the time. That's why they psychologically try to hypnotize everybody to just think about themselves. And you know, oh, if you create treason against the family, you know, if you don't respect your family or whatever, oh, that's okay. You have to follow your own dreams. No, no, it is so destructive. It's so destructive to your own safety. It's so destructive to the safety of your family members. It's so destructive to the safety of society. The family is the institution of God. It is the most valuable institution, the most important institution. We have to guard it. We have to protect it. We have to give selflessly of ourselves in there. And I know with Leilani Hart, her family was hell, right? That's what she reported. Her family was engaged in incest. That's what she reported and notarized and reported it to the FBI. Her family was engaged in child pornography, um, and the sexual assault of a minor in her master bedroom, and she failed to timely report it. Um, and in these cases, this is where the law really comes in, and makes it very, very clear what you need to do. You've got to report. You've got to report and report and report, and you have to have faith, that God will absolutely know what you need in the future for your safety. But you cannot live in a family that is violating, the family, the family, within the family. Um, so with that, it's really important, because you have several families that were violated on August 3rd, 2019, at the Walmart mass shooting. You have, real victims there, um, that lost a loved one, and and there's such a mess in the criminal justice system in El Paso that now Patrick Crucius, um, his case has been so botched, and it's come out into the news today. And it's so important because with this new development of the defense putting in an motion to dismiss the case because of the usurper Bill Hicks and his tampering, his politicizing of criminal cases. He's a usurper. He's a trespasser. What do you expect? What do you expect? If he is not going to install correctly, if he is going to usurp the very office that is supposed to be defending the law of the land, and yet he is violating it before he even gets in there, can't even take his oath of office correctly, can't even sign his anti-bribery statement, properly in a timely fashion in the right order, just manipulating from the very beginning. And now we have the defense of Patrick Crucius coming out and saying it, and saying, we need, to dismiss this case. It is a botched case. There is a lot of misconduct by the, prosecution, and with, it's it's interesting because in the report, um, that of course comes from Bob Moore. He was given the story. Bob Moore, who's also a criminal, who has conflicts of interest in this with the very people involved in this entire case. Um, but he got the story, he wrote the story, and of course, he has to, he's so full of it. He's so full of lies and deception. And, no one believes because the evidence, the forensics is right in front of our eyes that Patrick Crucius did this on his own, that he, did it out of hatred for Hispanics. He lived in San Antonio. It wasn't Dallas. He was coming from San Antonio. I mean, Rob and mine first date was San Antonio, the Riverwalk. Um, you know, San Antonio is the city of Hispanic culture, of Hispanics. The bakeries, we love the bakeries there. We'd get those beautiful, what do you call those buns, those bread buns. Some are pink and some are lime green on the top. The this sugary coating that they put on, this buttery sugary coating. Um, and going the Riverwalk, and oh my goodness, and the best Tex-Mex food, even authentic Mexican food. Um, you know, and you're living there and you're driving to El Paso because you have something against, uh, uh, Mexicans, or you're racist or whatever. That was such a bunch of baloney. I mean, the whole thing is a bunch of baloney. The right question would be like, okay, where did that manifesto come from? Who wrote it? This is a group. You have 46, 23 that were killed on the Walmart, and 23 more. You have, no way. If you're law enforcement, we've talked to so many law enforcement professionals, and they were like, no way in that amount of time with Patrick Crucius and his very clean clothes and clean shoes, very clean shoes, pulled off what they say he did. The narrative is a lie. It's a deception. And Bob Moore, of course, is can't help himself. It's kind of like he's possessed by the father of lies. He's just has to put in the deception and the lies in every story he tells. It's just, they're all manipulated truths. He just can't help it. Um, from in our opinion, in our stories that we've read that he's written, he is just a discredited, a disgrace, a disgust of a journalist. He really is. And I don't say that lightly. I say that after 1,508 days of my son being premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss, in connection with the Walmart case. This is in connection with the Walmart case because Richard was whistleblowing the criminal activity, including criminal trafficking, that created audits, that created the IG all over the barracks, and the Walmart mass shooting was orchestrated by these same individuals that orchestrated to frame a false narrative around Richard, and to tamper with witnesses, to tamper with evidence, to cover up the murder. Same people in the Walmart mass shooting, same people in Richard's case. When you solve one, you'll solve the other. And here we have the defense of Patrick Crucius, and I want to explain this to everybody as well as I can. I'm sure it's going to take a few days to really go through this forensically, go through this line by line to understand what Joe Spencer is trying to do, what Felix Valenzuela is trying to do. They're the defense attorneys for Patrick Crucius. This non-lone shooter, absolutely, he had help. He has a severe mental health condition, schizio, whatever. But we also have it confirmed that he has autism. He has many different conditions. He is just no way could he pull this off himself. Absolutely no way. And no one really believes it because they see him just within minutes driving over to Hispanic law enforcement at a crossing, at an intersection, with totally clean pants on, totally clean shirt on, totally clean shoes, and surrendering himself to a Hispanic law enforcement officer. Very kind, and very patient. Oh, yes, 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 here I am. Um, I think that his mental condition was taken advantage of by the rest that orchestrated this. And now they're rightfully so. It's been 5 years. 5 years he's been in isolation. Patrick Crucius has been sitting in isolation across the street from the courthouse there in El Paso, sitting in isolation, not one thing done. Um, like for a mental health evaluation. They haven't even done that in the case yet in 5 years. There's been so much mismanagement, so much misconduct, but maybe it wasn't mismanagement for the defense and the prosecution. Maybe they just wanted to rake in the millions of dollars, right? The millions of dollars that has been spent just stalling this case, right? Stalling this case that is connected to our son's case, our son's capital murder case, his retaliation to the people that are prime suspects of the murder of our son. So it's really important what happened today. Um, And it's very interesting what was discussed. Of course, it was the misconduct of Bill Hicks. They did say that he was engaged in espionage, which is, uh, you know, corroborates what's been going on from the beginning because we have in our open records that he was engaged in espionage um, uh, in the district attorney's office under Yvonne Rosales, which is so arrestable. I mean, he needs to be arrested, right? We might get our wish. I don't know. He needs to be arrested. And of course, politicizing, weaponizing um, the district attorney's office, um, the official oppression of the El Paso community, subjecting them to this official oppression by usurping the district attorney's office and botching every case that came through there and not giving justice in the Walmart mass shooting, not giving them peace, not, he's a usurper. What do you expect? He's a trespasser. He is lawless. And then he's not a good attorney because all you have to do is look at his record. He couldn't even pay his rent um, before he usurped the district attorney's office. So it's all coming together. What Joe Spencer and Felix Valenzuela is not saying is they're not saying that Bill Hicks is a usurper. They're not saying that the magistrate court, right? The magistrate court uh, right now has imposters sitting on their benches, that they are illegal, that the whole court that Patrick Crucius was brought before was illegal. And on that, he should be dismissed because the the individuals sitting on the bench, five of them, on the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court, are imposters. And you see that Bob Moore, with Felix Valenzuela and Joe Spencer, are not mentioning that in this article. And we know they have it because we notified them. We included them in our criminal complaint, um, which, you know, we've gotten confirmation that Richard was multiple complaints, multiple whistleblower complaints. And of course, Team 5 Richard Halliday, we have without ceasing um, done, and we're going to do more, every day, just um, put in those criminal complaints over and over and over again. And so we believe that because of our complaints and also our investigation into the magistrate court, we believe that Team 5 Richard Halliday has driven them to ask for dismissal, which is very good news. And I'll tell you why. Because the taxpayers are being charged millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. This is a cash grab. This is like a little milk cow for these lawyers. And it was going nowhere. And it could go on for years, and they would have to be funded. Um, and so to call for dismissal, let's hope that the judge calls for dismissal. That would be a very, very good thing because it would save a lot of corruption, and also the charging the El Paso community and the Texans for getting nowhere, for nothing. Thanks for nothing. Thanks for nothing, they should say. And they should ask for their money back, right? They should ask for they probably in restitution from the criminals because having Patrick Crucius dismissed is not a pass for the those that orchestrated the Walmart mass shooting. Okay, it is not. Um, the it's very important to remember because you're like, is he going to walk? Is he going to walk? No. Remember that there was a federal case and he was sentenced to 9 lifetime sentences, right? So that's, to me, I say, oh, about 1,000 years. About 1,000 years he was sentenced to. Because, you can, as you can live to be about 120, 110, 120. That's, normally it's around 80 to 90 years old, um, if you're fortunate. But you can live to be 110, 120. So I call it about 1,000 years. They sentenced him for about 1,000 years. And he's waiting to serve that sentence. And he will serve that sentence in the Alcatraz of the Rockies, which is in Colorado. It's very, very high security. And, a lot of people say, wait a minute, there's such an uneven hand in justice right now. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't feel sorry for Patrick Crucius because he's absolutely part of this group. But at the same time, he needs a mental health evaluation because I believe he was taken advantage of. He was absolutely taken advantage of. That's what I believe because of his severe mental health handicap, his condition. So, so the really good news that has come out of this today is the cooperation. There's several cooperation that Bill Hicks was spying on Yvonne Rosales. The other very good news is that federal agents, this is very, very good news, that federal agents have been added to Team Find Richard Halliday um, to investigate, um, look into. I think the best way is looking into um, Richard's case. So that is uh, really, really very important information coming in because we need all hands on deck, and we really welcome if they're legitimate, right? If they're wanting to defend the Constitution, legitimate and ethical uh, federal agents. So we're very grateful for that. Oh, thank you, Anicia, for coming on. It is a wowzer day, and something's happening. Something's happening. We're getting a lot of support right now that we got these two FBI agents. It's a miracle. So something is happening, and uh, Bob Moore, even though he fails to talk about John Briggs, remember John Briggs was removed from the Walmart case, and yet stayed on for appearances illegally. You can't be dismissed from a case and then go like, well, but I'm going to stay on anyway. No, no, no. You kind of go away. You're dismissed. Um, so that is, he didn't mention that, which really botched the case because he admitted to it in his lawsuit against El Paso County. And then, of course, the magistrate court, they did not mention that. Um, but they did mention enough other things to make this a huge victory for us. And getting those FBI agents is huge information for us. And we're moving forward. We're moving forward. This battle has just begun. We had to get the recognition. which the declaration of death gave us, that Richard absolutely was murdered on Fort Bliss. That was that recognition. And now we have to uh, have that kind of, I lost my train of thought. Um, we are burning the midnight oil. It's almost 1 o'clock in the morning, y'all. And it has been a wild, wild day because we have federal agents that are joining to look into our son's case. And we really welcome that. And because I think the news is really the big news is not really for the normal person out there. The big news is to the prime suspects, the suspects in Richard's case, those that helped cover up this murder, those that murdered Richard, those that helped cover it up, those that um, framed a false narrative. Uh, their time is growing very short. And we know who tells the truth, who is authentic, and who's not. So that is huge news um, that we wanted to share with you. That just because Patrick Crucius, his case is being dismissed, doesn't mean that the perpetrators, the real perpetrators in the Walmart mass shooting, now we can focus on them. We can focus on them. So thank you so much. If you have any questions, we'll be glad to answer them. I want to make sure that um, um, we have more evidence that it came in today about the getaway car. That is important information. And we're looking more into Glendon Oakley Jr. And of course, oh yes, Cris Martin. So Leilani Hart and Cris Martin. Um, Cris Martin's name has come up again. And of course, we have a lot of experience with Cris Martin, and he's up to no good, right? He's absolutely up to no good. He is gives all the appearance of someone that wants to help the community, but he's none of it. He's not of that. Okay, he's up to no good. So that is coming back in the case. And remember how he got in the case because of Electra, Electra the paranormal, right? That's when he came into the case, finding Richard's dismembered body parts. That's when he came in. So we have more to share with you, more to tell you about that. We don't want to take away from this article that we received today that really you can just tell that Joe Spencer's in a tough spot, in a very tough spot. I think it's a lose-lose spot. So, but we'll wait. We'll wait and see what happens. So, thank you so much. God bless you. Keep praying. Keep the faith. Keep the faith, because as I was talking about yesterday, that's how we're going to get accountability. Keeping the faith and moving forward, establishing justice and never giving up. Thank you so much. God bless you, and I will be back tomorrow. God